Okay, so I will present about an NLP 2016, which was held in Tohoku University. So I had two tasks. Well, it can be grouped into tasks. One is my part, which is oral presentation. So I presented the design and development of part of speech target corpus,長岡corpus. And the others were I participated in different poster and oral presentations. It was very informative conference, and I had chance to meet a lot of researchers who are also interested in working with African languages, so who are doing NLP, and also linguists also who have some knowledge about different characteristics of languages. And they were very interested to hear about Tigrinya because it has unique morphological characteristics, the internal inflections. So we discussed a lot of things regarding the characteristics of the language. And I was very happy because there were many English sessions also. So I was able to understand all of them, and some of the Japanese sessions also I was able to understand and interact with the authors. So I have selected some of the English presentations, and I'm going to brief you some of them. So the first one is developing an intelligent tutor for Japanese honorifics using constraint-based modeling. So the brief summary of this research is, well, the idea is to help foreign learners to learn Japanese honorifics. So it could be very difficult for foreign learners to understand how the honorifics work, and especially this research was working on how to help the learners when they make mistakes. So the constraints here are the rules of Japanese honorifics. So whenever the system has a feedback system, so it accepts sentences from the user and tries to identify whether these sentences are correct or not. And if there are any mistakes in the sentences, it will try to give feedback to the user by suggesting the correct methods of correcting the sentences. So the learning is also task-based, which means there are some specific lessons for specific tasks. For example, here I have written shopping. So while doing shopping, what are the honorific patterns that you could use while shopping? So this is very useful for the user, because if you are interested in some task, then you could use the system to quickly understand what you have to say. So we had some discussion with the author, and my opinion was if the system could identify the level of the user, it would be interesting, because some of the users are at the basic level of in studying Japanese honorifics, and maybe some others have more higher level. So if the system could somehow identify the level of the user, then it would try to give lessons which are relevant to the user. So you don't need to start from the basics and go up. So if there is that kind of module, it would be interesting. So we had that kind of discussion with the author. Another paper is improving discourse sense classification by the form of discourse relations. So in discourse, in that paper, there were two methods of identifying discourse relationships. One is explicit and another one is implicit. So in the explicit, the discourse relation is indicated in the sentences, but if it is implicit, it is difficult to understand the discourse relationship from the sentence. So in this research, what they were doing is they did some shallow discourse parsing, and the part of the research here was to re-rank the results. And re-rank the results and select the best candidate, the correct sense of the discourse from the re-ranked results. So there was some little improvement as was presented by the author. Okay, the next one is a study of punctuation handling for speech-to-speech translation. So in speech-to-speech translation, what normally happens is the speech is first translated into intermediate text, and from this text again, this text will be synthesized, and from this text again speech will be generated. So in this process, the role of this paper was to develop some punctuation techniques for the text output. So they tried 3 methods of handling punctuation for the text, and also 2 methods of machine translation. So it was found in this research that the output, the synthesized sound or text speech output has better quality when punctuations are used in the text. So this research was the idea of this research was how to punctuate, how to correctly punctuate the text output so that the results would be clear and more natural for us, for users. So they used blue score to evaluate the result of the unpunctuated text and also the punctuated text. And as I said, translating punctuated text had better quality of speech. The next one is weighting scheme and pipeline design for ad hoc phrase tables produced with the sampling-based alignment method. In this research, prior to this research, they developed sampling-based alignment method. So we all know alignment methods. Most of the time, especially in Moses translation, they use Giza++ for word alignments. So that is a general purpose alignment method. And this sampling-based alignment method is ad hoc in nature, which means they try to generate specific, domain-specific phrase tables. So not very general, but by using the target data or the test data, they analyze the test data, and by using this clue, they try to generate phrase table which is relevant to this test data. So instead of general, it would be domain specific. So that's why the word ad hoc phrase tables. So they had weighting scheme, and by associating this weighting, they select the possible candidates sentences from a corpus. So they form a subcorpora by using this weighting scheme, and from this subcorpora, which is ad hoc with the test with the inquiries that they are making, they also generate phrase table from the subcorpora. So it was very interesting because I am also interested in lexicon induction or generating automatic dictionaries, especially for low resource languages like Tigrinya. We don't have huge bilingual dictionaries. We have some dictionaries, but they are manually constructed, so the number of words that they can accommodate is limited or restricted. So it would be very interesting to use this kind of tools to generate words or lexicons from parallel corpus. So this one is a grammar and dependency aware search system for Japanese sentences. So the normal search engines like Google, we can use those search engines also to search sentences, example sentences for some patterns. But in this research, what they did is they also developed a system to accept queries which accept grammatical information like part of speech tags. So by associating part of speech tags and other grammatical information, you can search for some words, and the output would be sentences which contain that pattern. So it becomes quite kind of specific to some sentences which you require. It doesn't bring all the information which is not relevant with what you're trying to query. So this is very interesting because for example, for Japanese learners, we frequently want to find sentences which are written by native writers, so that you can understand how the pattern is and how this specific word or pattern can be used in different forms. So the output is very relevant to this query, and it will be very useful for Japanese learners to understand the different usage of that word. So these are some of the interesting and useful researches that I participated. Thank you so much.